Hey, all you Splinterheads, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. I'm Bronze Dragon. I like to cover Splinterlands issues, playing, collecting, investing, things of this nature on a weekly basis, sometimes several times per week, depending upon what's going on. I like to start off saying that anything I do say comes from a standpoint of a collectible card player and collector, and I am by no means a investment advisor. So take that to heart, and anything I have to say is not investment advice. With that said, I know a lot of the other YouTubers have beat me to the punch, but I'd like to jump on because I did sit through the town hall this week. I sat through like 95% of it. It was very long, and I will leave the link to it in the show notes, or you can find it over on Peak D, which I'm on this page. Now, I'm not going to go through every single note here, but I do want to roll through it and just kind of give my take on a few different items. Now, I will start off with probably what I feel is the most important thing, which is the SPS governance proposal that was just put out. Now, it was changed. And I like the fact that if you heard my video on this originally a few days ago, I did not really like the idea of DEC-B, just because, basically put, I thought it complicated matters, and I didn't feel that we needed another token within the quote-unquote tokenomics of Splinterlands to kind of bring everything else down more, if you know what I mean. But the idea came up, and I don't have the name of the person that actually came up with it, but props go to that person, to change the proposition to the fact that if you burn DEC to get DEC-B, then the DEC-B is soul-bound. My main take on this, and I'll go ahead and say this, I'll probably buy some, because I do have some land and I do intend on building it up. It's always been one of my main things with this game. I like the idea when land was announced, and I bought one, I bought two, and now I have three. I don't like the idea of everything being lumped upon land as the savior. Oh, you got to burn this, and you got to buy a bunch of cards, and it basically, you're taking one thing and trying to make it save the game for you, or save the tokenomics of the game. I don't like that part. But with that said, let's jump over to the actual proposal, and I'm not going to read through this. I'll include a link. But if you can see, just be careful to check out the update here, because on the main page, on the main town hall page, it still has incorrect information. It says not soulbound here, which is incorrect. Okay, the actual proposal for the update is, as a result, if you burn DEC to get DEC-B, it would be soulbound. And then you could go ahead and use that for things within the game that require burning DEC. Boosting your guild buildings, boosting your land, however that plays out, and things such as this. Now, what they are clear to say is you will not be able to buy packs with this. Okay, I saw some misinformation floating around on Discord yesterday on that. They specifically say you will not be able to use packs with that. However, they do go on to say that other things that are under the auspice of burning DEC can be used. Land survey potions, which will boost the ability for you to get a better land in some way, just like potions are when you open packs, right? Guild building and alliance building updates, building upgrades and maintenance boosts in the land, like I was saying, and future mini editions. So it looks like they may be able to use it with this statement towards like other types of packs, but that's waiting to be seen. I see this as majorly people who foresee they have to build up their land buildings, or people who are aimed at building up their guild buildings. Now, I put in DEC on a weekly basis to help build my guild buildings up. But at the same time, I know I don't own those buildings, so I put them in just to be a team player, right? And I do benefit from them, but I also know that at some point, if I get kicked out of the guild, I have nothing from that anymore. I have to go find another guild and start putting in. But on my own land, if I build up the buildings myself, I stand to benefit from that. So with that said, I'll leave the link, and we went over this in an earlier video, so I won't spell it out, but I will say that the main thing is that the DEC will be soul bound. Now let's go ahead and go over here and take a look at it, and it's looking a balance of people are for it. I'm going to go ahead and put in my vote because I am for it, for whatever that's worth. But make the decision yourself and take into account. I mean, there are points both ways. I do still think that I think there's basically being soul bound. There's a lot less chance of the new token messing up the other tokenomics. Okay. I'm not a math major. I'm not a finance major, I should say. So, and I'm definitely not triple specialized in tokenomics. So some of the other guys that are better at that, like Cryptomancer and such, probably could speak more eloquently on it. But I feel that the token being soul bound, a lot less chance of it affecting DEC and the other things such as vouchers and SPS in a negative fashion. People won't be able to buy it, sell it, and stuff like that. So, okay, that's with that. I wanted to hit that right off the bat because I feel that was the most important item. Let's go back to the page. There was a lot of useful information on this. I think the main takeaway that I got from the town hall is I want to say I almost felt like I was sitting there getting sold to, because yes, I understand that Aggie and Matt are selling their game. That's what they're there for. I mean, you want to sell your own product, right? But they all seemed very hopeful, so I like that takeaway. And there was a lot of good ideas discussed. Okay, let's just spin through them quickly. Like I said, if you want to get more in depth, you can actually listen to the video. I forget how many hours it was, but it was pretty long. The first thing discussed was the land market. They didn't really hit that really in depth, but they went over it a little bit as far as the new map. I think the main takeaway from the land portion of the discussion to me was, especially at the end whenever they were talking, answering questions people threw in, a lot of people are waiting to reveal their deeds because they want to get further land in other areas of the maps, or in the map, So their main takeaway was it shouldn't really matter where you reveal your deed or, where your land is. So in the past, there's been discussion about maybe your land should be together. It's easier to transport back and forth. Maybe my original conclusion, my original thought, because I base the thought upon no real hard facts because they're still making this up as they go, right? My original thought was, hey, I've got 3 plots. I would like 3 separate plots, like one in one zone, each in different zones. So whatever these lands bring, I can have 3 different types, right, of whatever the resource is, etc. But their main takeaway was it shouldn't really matter where those lands are if you have them. Okay. And, my main thought on that is it's true because you should be able to buy and sell land. I mean, if I have 3 plots of land and I reveal one and I don't necessarily end up liking it, I can put that up on the market for sale. So currently you can't if you reveal it. but in the future you should be able to. That's what they're speculating at. It's always been like that. It's always been their idea. You should be able to buy, sell, trade things on the market like that, land, that is. It'll be interesting to see how you can do that. You take a land and you start putting all this money into it, and you put certain characters on it, and you build it up, and you have this really nice leveled land. You sell that land on the market. What transfers and what doesn't, you know what I mean? But that's just part of the game, and that's way out from now. Let's see. Okay, next items. Like I said, they didn't spend too long on that. The new player experience. They really hit this in depth. The main thought process behind this, or thought process, their main ideas is nothing new for us who play the game, right? And my brother and I go back and forth about this all the time. Anytime one of us has to sink down and go back through bronze, we're always texting back and forth. Oh man, I'm hating getting it through bronze and novice. But one of the main takeaways I got from that section of the discussion was the fact that it's likely that they will change the novice area of the game to where once you've played through novice, you'll never go back to novice, really. Or, you know, you can't say never, but they had mentioned developing Splinterlands run bots to basically play in novice against real new players that are just starting the game, that lead them through a series of matches that were positioned with different teams, different card sets, different rule sets, with the aim to teach them how to play, basically. Basically, like most other games have, they have some kind of intro scenario that teaches you basically how to move around, how to play, and things like this. Same idea. And it'll keep the bot army, so to speak, out of it. So, and a lot of these are just ideas in the idea stage. I want to say they stressed it pretty hard that these were ideas that obviously they had put some good thought into the team, whether it was just one person thinking about it on the team or the whole team discussing it. It was clear that they had discussed these items, and it was not just new things coming off the top of their head. So the other items they were talking about were the season rental changes, changing sleeves and bundles and sets. I did like the item where they were talking about changing the grouping, because one of the things is a little bit challenging, especially with new players, and even with me sometimes, because I have to go and check. And you would say, well, which cards are in Modern, which cards are not, you know? And then you have to go in and, well, you look for this and then you look for that, and then sometimes this. Well, even I've been playing for more than a year and a half, and I still once in a while I'll have to check to see if a card is playable in Modern, right? So they're going to change it to where the cards are grouped in sets somehow, and it's very easy to distinguish what's in Modern, what's not currently, and things of this nature. So, and then they talked about the Alpha, Beta, Untamed, Chaos Legion sets, and Rebellion has come. So, okay, moving on. Like I said, I didn't want to get really in depth with this. I didn't want to make this video too long, but I did want to cover this and put it out there. So, rule set changes. Main takeaway I got from this was the fact that they're basically trying to make it harder on bots without pulling the plug on bots. And by making rule set changes, including multiple rule sets within a game, and basically making the matches trickier, their idea is to make the games harder to program against with databases, and just make it very hard for a bot to pull from a database off. You know, like if it's a simple rule set, it's easy to pull from a database. But you throw 3 rule sets together, and all of a sudden, it's tricky, right? So it makes the logic to try to program against that all that much harder. Is it impossible? No. They also said that. Nothing's really impossible. I mean, I'm sure there's something impossible, but most things are possible if you have a programmer, which basically people who make these bots are, and they have the time to do it, and they stand to earn money off of it, right? So with that said, that was the idea I got off of that. And like they said, it benefits players rather than bots who are running off of data sets of historical data. Okay, I didn't get too much in the SPS validator. I don't have a node, but they did talk about a little bit, and they talked about the SPS player staking, which is aimed at Q2, and also I was looking for where in this list it is, but somewhere in the list they talked about, it's the next item, replacing collection power. So, they talked about how the whole idea of collection power is kind of broke. People can go in, you can go in, rent a few high-end gold cards, and boost you into the next level or two, right? So it's going to be replaced with a method of SPS staking, which my original thought was, well, it's just another way to boost SPS. And that could be it. I mean, they want you to buy SPS. They want you to stake it and put it away. So that benefits SPS, and it benefits them. So I don't know. It is what it is. I can see both sides of the coin. So either way, that looks like it's going to happen in Q2. So you will need a certain amount of SPS, which they haven't really announced yet. I'm sure they're still working on the numbers, staked to be able to play in each league. And the caveat there is, and get full rewards, which is another item that's kind of a side item that I just had an idea on, is the fact that we're already being limited in several fashions on earning 100% on battles. Here's another thing, right? So, well, it is what it is. I'll just have to think about that idea more. Soulbound reward cards. Okay, big item. This is probably the second biggest item for me this week. This idea, I wouldn't say I was a fan of it, but I was for it, right? And I talked about this, a couple months ago, whenever it was out. But they announced that for sure the next set of rewards cards will be soulbound. And there's lots of different ideas floating around the internet about what could possibly happen with those soulbound reward cards to be able to make them sellable in the future. So they were very clear that at the very first they would not be sellable, transferable, burnable for DEC, none of that. But they did go on to talk about a couple different ideas of possibly making them sellable in the future. Say, for instance, one of the ideas I think Aggie said was after the set went out of production, everything had been distributed, then there would be some way. Then Aggie had an idea, floated an idea about possibly being able to sell them, but you have to burn so much DEC on them. That's, to me, I don't know. Especially if you buy, I have to think about that. But that's the good thing about this whole process, is the fact that nothing's in stone, other than the fact that the next set of rewards cards will be soulbound. And I do like the idea that it will benefit the actual player, right? So, and we've talked about these ideas ad nauseum by this point. I feel like at this point, ever since I started playing Splinterlands more than a year and a half ago, we've been on this constant treadmill of trying to defeat bots. but at the same time, having having them the producers of the game, the developers of the game, say no, we need bots. So it's kind of a weird situation they're in. And in the town hall, they were very clear that they don't use bots. Yeah, well, either way, next set of rewards cards will be soulbound. And they started floating a bunch of cool ideas about the new abilities. They were very clear on the fact that new abilities will make these new cards, you're going to want these cards. They're not just going to be low end. These will improve your deck strength, so you're going to want them. A lot of cool new abilities. The two abilities that they floated out there was the Summoner Conscript ability, which will allow you to use a Gladiator card in non-brawl matches. So that helps people who've been doing their brawls, have been building up their Gladiator cards. You'll be able to take one and use it. Like, I know I have a few pretty decent Gladiator cards. I mean, I know they're strong. I'll be able to use those in a regular match with a special Summoner Conscript ability. Obviously, these are just in the idea stage now, but it's very clear that they had thought about it and discussed this. So, looking forward to that. Also, the second item was the weapons training ability. And this has to do with the performance of cards with no attack. So I'm going to leave that there because you'll have to listen to exactly how they described it because I'm not 100% on it. But it'll be interesting. Basically, a card without a melee attack is helping boost another card adjacent to it. Give it like plus melee or something like that. So, and the other roadmap items that they mentioned was the promo card sales occurring more frequently, like every quarter. The Rooney combining in Q2. They also mentioned that this week, well, I'm kind of skipping forward a little bit, but they also went over, and I'm trying to remember, but I can't remember 100% what they talked about guild alliances. But basically, they're looking at strengthening the guild play and allowing guilds to ally with each other for tournaments and stuff. So, and obviously, I already mentioned the improvement of the new player tutorial, which would, which I went over in the first section. And my Brave browser keeps popping up with notices. So, there was a product release this week on Tuesday. Today, the Immortalis airdrop card released. I didn't get one. I hope you did. This week also, Rooney. You'll be able to set your Rooney as your in-game avatar if you have one. I'm still using the old fishing-looking guy. They fixed a few login issues, music restarting issues, and they added some security features. And I don't have any details on that because he just sort of lightly mentioned them and went over it quickly. And then Weirdbeard, a.k.a. Weird Goatee, went over the different tournament improvements and gladiator improvements, and I will leave that there. I think this has gone on long enough. I appreciate you joining me. I will end this with a Gladius case opening. Why not? See what I got. Since we've been talking about Gladius cases for 20 minutes, or Gladius cards for 15 minutes. And, we'll leave that one for last. Several of these, I'm borderline between level 2 and level 3. So let's see what I got here. Nice. This will be my second of this one. With that said, I appreciate you dropping by. Please like and subscribe and click that bell. And I hope you all are happy and your family is healthy. and 2023 brings you whatever you want it to bring you. Be careful what you wish for. I'll see you on the flip side.